Hello, I'm Nancy Carrier. Today, we'll be discussing accounting in Acumatica's Construction Edition. Let's start with the basics, financial periods. From the Finance Workspace, there is a link to the Master Financial Calendar. This is where you manage financial periods. The plus sign on the top menu is used to create a new year, and the Generate Calendar button sets up individual months and adjustment periods. The status column shows which periods are currently active or open. This is an example of 2019. It's already set up and the entire year is active except for a final adjustment period. On the right-hand side, you can see which individual subledgers are open. Each column is a different subledger: accounts payable, accounts receivable, etc. In this example, everything is unchecked, meaning that none of the subledgers have been closed. Month-end and year-end closings are very straightforward because everything is hitting the GL in real time. You still need to reconcile your accounts, review reports, all those regular period-end activities, but the actual closing in Acumatica is just a few steps. You close each subledger and then close the period. To close a subledger, I'll use accounts payable as an example. You just click on the workspace and then click on Close Financial Periods. You would close the period in each subledger that's in use: AR, AP, inventory, etc. You would do this for each one of the subledgers. Once the subledgers are closed, you can close the general ledger. So I'm going to go back to my Finance Workspace and back to our Master Financial Calendar. The Action menu allows for opening, closing, and locking periods. Let's move on to journal entries in Acumatica. From the Finance Workspace, there is a tile right at the top for New Journal Entry. From here, I can manually enter a new journal entry by just clicking on the plus sign and entering in my debits and credits. But it's also very easy to import a journal entry. Right over here, we have a button for Load Records from File. This button is used to quickly import data from a spreadsheet file. A pop-up box prompts for the file to upload. And I just click the upload button to pull in the file. There's a few parameters that can be changed if necessary, and you can map your spreadsheet file to your database fields. And now you can see the line details that have been imported. You'll notice right in the middle there is a column for subaccount. Subaccounts are an easy way to break down data within an account without exponentially growing your chart of accounts. Subaccounts are user-defined segments. You might call them dimensions or classes. They go by a lot of different names. In this example, we have two segments separated by a hyphen, but you're certainly not limited to two segments. If I highlight my first segment, and I'm just using the F3 key to show you what I'm tracking here, you can see we are tracking product groups. This transaction is being coded to the advertising expense, but it's also being coded to our consumer goods product group. The second subaccount, and again, I'm just pressing F3 to show you what this example is showing us being tracked. And you can see that we're tracking departments. So again, it's still just one account, the 61,000 advertising expense account, but we're coding it to our sales and marketing department. In my example, each one of my segments is 3 digits in length, but you can decide how you want your segments set up. They certainly don't have to be 3 digits like you're seeing in my example. Right up here, you can see we have a field for auto reversing. When this field is checked, the system will automatically generate a reversing entry at the beginning of the next financial period. Any transaction in Acumatica can be set up as a recurring transaction. From my Actions menu, I can simply select Add to Schedule to create a schedule for this transaction. We're now on the Recurring Transactions page, where you have a number of scheduling options. You can set a transaction to run for a specific number of times or through a specific date or at a specific day in your financial period. You have a lot of different scheduling options. Let's take a look at one of these transactions that's actually been running for a while. One thing you'll notice is right down here at the bottom, we have two different tabs. The first tab displays the details of the original transaction, and the second tab displays all the transactions that were created based on the schedule that was set up. Hyperlinks let you quickly drill down to the individual transactions. All right, let's switch gears and talk about financial budgets in Acumatica. From the Finance workspace, I can access budgets. Let's take a look at this example budget. This is my budget for 2018. On the left-hand side, you can see that we've broken out our budget data into three groups. We have revenue accounts, overhead expenses, and direct expenses. It's still all one budget. It just breaks it down into manageable groups that are easier to look at and easier to work with. Budgets can be created in a number of different ways. You can always come over here and just click on the plus sign to manually add in a row to your budget. You can also import a budget by using Load Records from File. Just like I imported a journal entry earlier, you can import a budget. When I click on this, I'm prompted to find and upload a spreadsheet. You can also use the Preload Articles function. This brings up a wizard that will assist you in the creation of a budget. From here, I can select a particular year's either actual or budget numbers, and I can base my budget on a particular year. And down here in the multiplier field, I can add a flat percent increase or decrease to those numbers. So if, for example, you're expecting 10% growth over a prior year, you could just simply enter 110% for your multiplier. Once you have your budget in place, it can be used in reporting so you can compare budget to actual numbers. Let's talk a little bit about cost allocations. Allocations let you accumulate amounts to one account, then distribute that amount across multiple accounts at month, quarter, or year end. Allocations have a start and end period to set the time frame of when the allocation is in effect. It can also be made recurring. You can choose to distribute the costs in different ways, for example, by percent or by weight. On the Source Accounts tab, you can see the account that is going to be allocated. On the Destination Accounts tab, you can see the accounts the distributed amounts will be going into. Once an allocation has been run, it's visible on the Allocation History tab. Hyperlinks allow for drill down to each transaction. Since this transaction is allocating expenses between different companies, the system automatically adds in the balancing entries. You can see the due from and the due tos. Allocation transactions can be run one at a time or in batches. You can also put allocations on an automated schedule that'll run at regular intervals. The last topic for today is reports. Acumatica provides many financial reports out of the box. These reports can be copied and modified, or you can create reports from scratch. Let's take a look at an example report in Acumatica. We'll use a P&L report since this is a very common report. The P&L report is accessed from the Finance workspace. You can run the P&L for any particular financial period. And to generate the report, you just click on Run Report. This is an out-of-the-box report, but keep in mind that you can lay out this report to look exactly the way you like. You may have noticed that there are a lot of hyperlinks on this report. The hyperlinks make it very easy to drill down to more detailed information. For example, if the sales revenue number doesn't look correct, you can just drill down on the hyperlink to access more detail. And you can keep drilling down to more and more detail. Let's go back to our P&L. Up on the top menu, you can export your report to either Excel or PDF. You can send the report by email. Reports can also be put on a schedule, so they're automatically generated and emailed. Over here, I want to point out this Groups functionality. The Groups button lets you slice and dice information. In this example, we have 4 separate companies, 2 product-based and 2 service-based. By using the Groups functionality, you can click on any one of the companies to see the P&L for just that company, but you can easily roll up both services company to see a consolidated P&L. The same is true for my product-based companies. I can click on any one of the companies to see their individual P&L, and I can click on the top of the product company to get a consolidated view. To see a consolidated report across all companies, you simply click on Consolidated Report. Today, we looked at financial periods, journal entries, budgets, allocations, and financial reports.